Get your tickets now for the Dog Stars.
It's no surprise how fast civilization can disappear. Out there, it's kill or be killed.
Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
There are people out there. They need our help.
Josh Brolin.
Shoot first and inquire afterwards.
Margaret Qualley.
Okay, tough guy.
And Guy Pearce.
Arm up!
The Dog Stars, directed by Ridley Scott, in theaters August 28th. Get tickets now. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parents.
This episode is brought to you by Facebook. So you were scrolling on Marketplace, and there it was, the bike you'd been searching for. You sent a message, and it turned out the seller was super chatty, kind of funny, and an avid cyclist. The next thing you know, you're in a cycling crew. Well, a community cycling group. The thing about Facebook, you might find more than what you're looking for. From a browse to a bike ride, this summer find more on Facebook.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies 18+.
Britain's golden girl, Amy Hunt, does the European sprint double. I'm Michael, and I'm in Birmingham.
And I'm John, and I too have been in Birmingham as the UK stages the European Championships for the first time ever in athletics.
We round up the news from the champs, World Individual Silver, Commonwealth Games Silver, and now 2 individual golds in 4 days for Amy Hunt. And Dina Asher Smith got the bronze as well.
And makes history as well. This is anything but footy at the European Athletics Championships.
I don't know whether we need to talk about Amy Hunt again, winning gold in the 200 metres. I'm not sure we've got any more words or superlatives for her. I know this is the European Championships, and, you know, a lot of people are now beginning to discuss whether Amy will be able to reproduce this kind of form, these kind of results at the World and at the Olympic, the global level. But yeah, no, let's take nothing away. 100 metres champion, 200 metres champion. We have seen that in the past. Dina Asher Smith, of course, has done it. And as you say, now has 9 medals in her career at the European Championships. As she said to me last night, this one, the bronze, was not the colour that she wanted. But Amy Hunt, I mean, just everyone is talking about her around here. It's the big topic of conversation. The crowds wait for her when she, you know, finishes her event and she comes and does her interviews and then sort of heads for the taxi rank to head back. I'm not sure it is a taxi rank as such, but you know what I mean. Yeah, she is just absolute box office.
I think you're right to ask the question, can she take that into the world stage? She's obviously a world silver medalist, as you mentioned, in the 200 metres. We know that other people will run faster and faster. But we always said this summer with the Commonwealth Games and the European Championships was a time for someone to make a story. It was time for someone to rewrite some headlines, to put themselves in a place where the general public know who they are. And Amy Hunt might be just making that happen. I think that's what we're seeing. And that's what these games and the Commonwealth Games and these championships can provide. And I think that's when we as media people and journalists, and sometimes we say, well, does this really matter? Are people interested in it or not? A full house at the Alexander Stadium pretty much last night for the first time in the week. But as you say, it's all about Amy Hunt, and it's allowing her to potentially build on this to become a world champion and then become an Olympic champion. And that's what we've seen in the past. When you think about the Linfords, the Dailies, the Kellys, the Sallys, they all have to win the Commonwealths or win a medal at the Commonwealths in Amy's case. They all have to win the Europeans before they can then go on and become world and Olympic champions. And I think she said that she wanted to be iconic, which is a great quote. She's obviously going for these 4 European gold medals. That's a question. You're there, you're watching her. Can she now win 4 gold medals or 4 medals in the same tournament, or 4 gold medals? She said she wants 4 gold. I think 4 medals would be an achievement in itself. Would be something like swimming. But 4 gold medals, can she really do that?
I can't even put you into words because I'll start crying and then we'll have a horrible interview where I barely say anything. So it means so much. This year has, obviously everyone says this year has not been that easy, and to do it, such an iconic thing in Birmingham, as close to my home as I'm ever going to get, to handle all the pressure. This is the first time I've ever come into a major champs expected to win not just one event but two events, to be able to hold myself and showcase all the work that I've done, all the work that my coach, my coaching staff, my family, everything that everyone's put into me, and it's such a representation of so many different people. This medal is for everyone, truly.
Adam Jamili said this was the hardest one of the four to win. One, is he right? And if you won all four, that puts you in Sports Personality of the Year contention.
I think so. My mentor Darren Campbell said the one was the hardest to win, and I will probably lean with Darren, but I think that's because me and Darren are slightly more 200 sprinters. I think the 100 is the hardest mentally, and I think the 200 is the hardest physically. Obviously, as we saw, my victory lap after the 100 was actually a pretty rapid 400 metre kind of rep, and then tonight I kind of walked the whole lap. I was a lot more tired, so I'm so glad to have got these two checked off, and now I get to have a lot of fun with the girls in the relay, and I'm so excited to come out here with probably one of if not the strongest team we've ever had.
Well, she said now that she's just off to have some fun with her friends. It's interesting because we've had the big debate, or we were having the big debate last night, a question I put to her, which is the hardest medal to win, and no one can agree, because you go to the sprint relay, it's a new event, it's a little bit unknown, and you go to that's the mixed sprint relay, and then you've got the women's sprint relay. You are relying on three other people, and potentially more. If there were heats and things, when you get to kind of Olympics level, for example, you are relying on other people getting the baton round and running fast and everything else. So some people are saying, well, that's got to be the hardest one because she's not in total control of that. I spoke to Adam Jamili. He said the hardest one to win was 200 meters, and he said that to me before it. He said, look at that race. She only led right at the end. It was Dina all the way, and she ended up with a bronze. So that had to be the hardest one. Amy herself, she said to me, no, me and Darren Campbell think the 100 meters was the hardest one to win because mentally that is the toughest event. So can she win 4 medals? Yeah, I think she can. And I think it can be 4 golds. And I think if she was to leave here with 4 gold medals, I mean, that is, Sports Personality of the Year territory, isn't it? That's and sadly that probably even eclipses the Emma Finucane 4 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games. But I think it definitely puts the two of them on a par as probably the two leading sportswomen in our kind of world of Olympic and Paralympic sport right now.
Before we look at that race particularly, because I think it was really interesting what you said. Adam Jamili knows about 200 meters. He knows how not to win them as well, unfortunately, from Rio, as we remember 10 years ago. But just on the relay, the mixed 4x1 relay, do you put Amy, Dina together? Because they obviously don't have a relationship. They crossed the line last night, and immediately they don't go to each other. They are rivals. And I'm not criticising either of them for that, because this is what we want in sport, and we'll talk more about rivals at the end of the podcast. But how do you do the 4x1? Do you put Amani in? Do you put? How do you do it? Do you put people who work well together, knowing that you can get the baton round, or do you put the fastest people in?
I think you put them in because they're the fastest, and I think they're professionals, and this sort of perceived frostiness that there might be between them, and we've gone down that road before with Dina and Daryl, and we've spoken at length with Daryl Nita about exactly that. I think they're just very professional people, and they're both very competitive people. You look at Dina last night. She crossed that line in bronze. Someone tried to hand her a Union flag. She was having none of it. She went and got some water, and she was straight out of there because she was hugely disappointed. But she could still leave these championships with a couple of gold medals in the relays, and she'll want to win a couple of gold medals in the relays. She's at 9. She could leave here with 11 European Championship medals. That's an iconic return in itself. And yeah, I think I don't really worry myself too much with their relationship kind of off the track. If there is or isn't.
It's not the relationship that I worry about. It's just can they work together as a team? Yeah, and what you're saying is
they
yes,
did
they
in
can.
Paris.
Yeah.
They did in Paris. I
But
mean, they won.
but the world has moved on. So Amy's now the golden girl, and Dina isn't. And I think it's interesting what you say that. And I'm not criticizing Dina,
But Dina
'cause
can be the golden girl. That's the point. And so she'll want to work with Amy because she knows that Amy is the best chance that she's got of winning 2 more gold medals.
yeah, could she have stayed on? I understand about not getting a union flag. She when she crossed the line, her face was like, oh, I'm gutted. And as you say, she won the bronze. She was winning that race with 150 to go, and Amy was working really hard. I think Amy said that she's had low blood pressure issues this time, nearly fainting after the 200 meters. It shows, as you say, Adam Jamili said, how tough it is to win that race. I just wonder. It's the first time this week that there was a full crowd at the Alexander Stadium. Could you have stayed in the stadium and just watched and supported Amy's achievement? Do you see the point? It's not the fact that I don't think it doesn't matter whether they like each other or not. I don't know whether they do, and I think you're right that professionally they will work together and they will be together. But she could have. I think if it was Keely Hodgkinson, she'd have stayed and watched what happened and been part of it. That's the only thing. But you can turn around and say, well, she's got more events and she needs to go and focus. So
Yeah,
there are lots of ways of looking at it.
and she's spoken in all the interviews that she did at the end, Dina, about how pleased she was for Amy and Radisha Adelecki to be on that podium with her and winning those medals. It doesn't really bother me that she's not stood there applauding and cheering her team on. She's focused on what
She could have thanked the fans though, couldn't she?
Yeah, but she's still there doing a job. She's still there doing a job. And in that moment, and she's always been like that. You know, again, referring back to conversation with Adam Jamili, who's known Dina since she was a teenager. She's never been happy with being defeated. That's why she has got a world championship gold medal over 200 meters, and that is why she's got all the medals at the European Championships. And yeah, I see no reason at all why the two of them can't form the cornerstone now of two very good relay teams. I don't see there being an issue.
So Amy Hunt, 200-meter champion, 100-meter European champion, and you mentioned Adelecki from Ireland. It was quite a night for Ireland, for her and for an athlete who's been around for a little longer.
Yeah, Mark English. I mean, absolutely huge moment. If you can, by the way, go away on social media and try and find the commentary from Greg Allen of RTE Television, which is Irish television. They've put a video out on RTE Sport, which is a camera on Greg Allen, the commentator, which I'm not normally a huge fan of. And then obviously the race, and Greg Allen's a long time sort of athletics commentator. He's one of these that's done kind of 10 Olympic Games. He's obviously followed the career of Mark English, where he's been there or thereabouts. And finally, he's a doctor as well, Mark English. And people kind of forget that as well. Broke the championship record in the semi and won the gold in the final as well. Ben Patterson finished 6th. And as you said, good night for Ireland. There's gold and a silver medal last night. Bad night for Great Britain and Northern Ireland with Ben Patterson not really ever contending, I don't think, in that race. And Max Bergin not even able to get to the start line, got injured in the warm-up. Not really been his year, has it, Max Bergin? But you're confident he will come back. You likened him to somebody else.
Yeah, he's a 24-year-old kid, and I've spoken to him a number of times in the last few years, and he works incredibly hard when he runs, and he wins when he runs, but he just doesn't run enough. It just reminds me of Dame Kelly Holmes, the early career of Kelly Holmes. She was getting injured left, right, and centre, but she was always there or thereabouts. Now, Max has not got to that point yet. I was hoping this summer, like we said with Amy, would be a bit of a breakthrough for him. He would have won a Commonwealth Games medal, a European medal. It hasn't quite worked out that way, but he's still very young. He's so quick when he runs, and Dame Kelly Holmes, it took her 10 years really to get to the point where she was winning the major medals, and that's what I'd hope. Disappointment as well from a British point of view for Elise Thorner as well, who probably gave us one of the nights of our lives at Glasgow in the Commonwealth Games. It didn't quite work out in the 3,000 metre steeplechase.
No, she finished 5th overall. I think she said afterwards that she just didn't have anything left to give with around about 600 metres to go. Elise, first of all, just reflect on that European final for us and your views of it.
The most brain cells I've ever used during a steeplechase, if I can be brutally honest. 9.5 laps, and I was concentrating on every single person around me. So, yeah, a definitely new race for me.
And it was a race that wasn't without incident. We had a faller in it. What can you tell us about that? What did you know?
She was too far ahead for me to impact me at all, but I watched it happen and really gutted for her. She was really strong and actually made that race a race.
So when you say you obviously were using all your brain cells, what can you recall about the actual race and your performance?
It was just very messy. It's kind of what you want to see from steeplechase, if I'm honest. A lot of the races are the faster people are miles ahead and it's all very gappy, but I looked up at the screen and I think there were like 8 or 9 of us in it the whole way around, which I'm not used to, but it was definitely a great learning curve.
I've had so many people talk to me over the past week or so about you in Glasgow and the Commonwealth Games. How big was that, and how much were you able to take what you did there into this?
That gave me so much confidence, and with a K to go, I went, I know what to do here, and I definitely thought about and tried to do it, but those women are incredible, and I think next time I would definitely take a different approach, but it was incredible to be out there.
Did Glasgow take anything out of you heading into these championships?
Honestly, no. I felt great coming into this, and it just gave me the confidence that I believe to be up there with them. So no, it felt amazing to be there and amazing to be here.
And just finally then, this season, what you've achieved so far, I know it's not over yet, but what kind of platform does it give you moving forward now? Where do you see yourself on that world stage?
It's been, no matter how this performance was today, it's been an amazing season, and I will never forget this year. And it just gives me and my team the confidence to know that we can compete against the best, and that's what we're going to do moving forward.
Again, a new name for us to watch from athletics point of view from Great Britain, Elise Thorner. She's going to be there or thereabouts. Great character and great resilience as well. And a great event, the steeplechase, is one of those capturing athletics, we think. Right, women's 800 metres is the big final tonight. We saw the semi-finals yesterday. A lot of hoo-ha about Audrey Werro, who, of course, fell in the first semi-final. Looked like she tripped herself up. Then the various video angles after a good half an hour, 45 minutes were like, no, she caught her hand of the French athlete, or the French athlete's hand caught her foot. And that's the reason why she brought down. That's what the judges said. So she's in the final. All I've got to say is, if her legs are flailing that high, I mean, it shows how fast she's going to be running. But I didn't think she ran a great race. She was never really clear with 100 metres to go. She was still under pressure. But we'll see with Keely, and Keely did a mat, didn't she? She didn't. She spoke to the BBC, but didn't stop in the mix zone. And all eyes on this final.
Yeah, I think we just sometimes overanalyze all these people's different behaviours at the ends of races. And we overanalyze Matt Hudson-Smith wrongly, because we all started saying, oh, he didn't stop and he was injured and everything else. He just wanted to go away and prepare and come back and win the gold medal. And as I said before on the podcast, because these people don't necessarily stop and talk, we then start making things up, and we shouldn't. And again, Keely, I definitely think that and Amy said it in the interview, that after the first couple of days, there's been some kind of instruction to the athletes and the media team to get through the post-race commitments quicker. And I think that's come from the coaching and the performance staff, because the first couple of days, all the athletes were stopping, talking to numerous different outlets and taking some time, obviously, to do that media run, plus obviously everything else that they might need to go and do with doping or whatever else. And I definitely think that there's been a sort of decision made. I don't know, but I think there's been a decision made. And Amy said it, that her coach said after the 100, you took too long. So you need to get through that process quicker. And obviously last night she said she had that ringing in her ear that she needed to get through that quicker, but she also wanted to celebrate the moment and everything else, and then all the other requests and commitments that they're asked to do. So I think Keely took a bit of time doing that after her first round, and therefore I think you just make a decision, don't you? I'm not doing anything in the semi. I'm not going to pick and choose. They tried to bring Gemma Reekie through in exactly the same way, interestingly, and just said she's just going straight to recovery. But she did insist, Gemma Reekie, on stopping and speaking to a couple of people that she knew, particularly from the Scottish newspaper titles. Mark Woods, one of our colleagues, for example, who's had a long-standing relationship. She did say, no, I don't mind. I will stop and speak to him for a couple of minutes. But I do think that the athletes are being told to get through that process quicker. And I think that's all I would read into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the right thing from Keely's point of view. She'd done the interviews earlier on in the week. We've talked about the Botox. You don't want to have to go through that again. Semi-finals focus. And I agree with Gemma Reekie stopping as well. This is a big moment for her. She didn't get through to the final in the Commonwealth Games. And this is her moment to say, right, I'm back. I'm at the 800 metres in the European Championships.
And she used a really interesting phrase, actually. She said, I feel like I've had the athletics version of the twisties in gymnastics. She said, I've not been able to negotiate myself into a final. And I feel like I've done that now. So, yeah, interesting final. We're going to have the tear up we want. Femke Bol, Audrey Werro, Keely Hodgkinson. I just wonder whether we could see a repeat of the Olympic men's 1500 metres final where they kind of maybe are all racing each other. I mean, Femke Bol looked really super easy in her semi-final with Keely, that Audrey Werro and Keely Hodgkinson race each other and Femke Bol comes down the inside or even somebody else.
Even somebody else, I think, is a fair point. Jake Whiteman's in action in the 1500 metres. Katarina Johnson-Thompson over the next few days. Kate O'Connor in the heptathlon. Georgia Hunter-Bell. There's a huge amount of athletics to come over the next few days. Keep an eye on TalkSport. Michael will be keeping up to date with that as that progresses. Is Jakob Ingebrigtsen right that Josh Kerr is ruining the sport by not competing at the European Championships?
I think ruining the sport's a little bit harsh. As we said, with all the people that didn't go to Glasgow and the Commonwealth Games, we would like to see them there. We've said numerous times on this podcast, I don't understand sometimes why athletes don't come to major championships. And Christina Hurrigu said to us on TalkSport, you know, when you are retired and you're a lot longer retired than you are competitive, then you will look back and go, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do that? And Josh Kerr might look back and go, why didn't I go for this event? But, you know, he has a very analytical approach to his season. He's not made this up. He sat down, as we know, with his team. He wanted the world record. That was the legacy piece he wanted this year. And in order to do that meant that he couldn't race at UK championships and therefore was unavailable for selection. Jakob Ingebrigtsen says you are judged on your titles and your medals. I think the publicity that Josh Kerr brought about by breaking that world record and putting himself in that list of mile world record holders is an equal achievement to what he might have done here at the European Championships.
And he won a gold at the Commonwealth Games in his homeland in a track that he grew up on. I think that is a huge part of the story that people don't seem to be remembering. And I've watched the interview that the BBC did with Ingebrigtsen, and they're just talking about the world record, and they let him just talk about the world record. And because the BBC didn't cover the Commonwealth Games as much as they had, and they didn't have the rights, they didn't push him on that. I know that Ingebrigtsen can't compete in the Commonwealth Games, it's separate, but you can't say that Josh Kerr has not competed in a major championship this summer. He has, and he won a gold medal.
Yep, I think, again, I mean, the headlines from that interview, I think, are more damning than the actual interview. Like a lot of these things sometimes. I think that the little bits that are taken out of it and you know, go round as it did yesterday, everyone was sharing that link when it got published. You know, I spoke to them both after the Olympics, and they both kind of admitted that they were playing a bit of a game with each other in order to try and big up their event and their sport. And I think they do exactly that. So
is it a message to be at the Ultimate Championships?
Possibly, yeah. And a lot of people now are talking about those Ultimate Championships. So like Matt Hudson-Smith talking about it, wanting to go there, Amy Hunt talking about it. So, yeah, I think that is beginning to capture the imagination in exactly the way that World Athletics, Seb Coe, and everybody else will have hoped. They will definitely, World Athletics, be hoping. That's exactly why they designed the event, isn't it? That we're going to get another Ingebrigtsen-Kerr shootout at that event in Budapest.
And Werro, Keely, Bol as well. Absolutely. Yeah, you could just tell from Jakob's interview as well. He had the sparkle in his eye where he was like, I know exactly what I'm doing here.
He's enjoying this week. I mean, you just have to sort of see him around and about and kind of listen to some of the little things that he's doing and saying and throwing out. I think he's enjoying the fact that Josh Kerr's not here this week, and it's his week to get some publicity and get some headlines.
Yeah, because Josh Kerr would beat him anyway, in my opinion, in the 1500 metres. Right, the medal table, we're still top, Michael, aren't we?
Yep, another night, obviously, with a gold medal for Amy Hunt and a bronze medal. I was about to say silver medal. Bronze medal for Dina Asher Smith. So, yeah, the medals keep coming and still top of the medal table ahead of the likes of Italy and the Netherlands. This is Anything But Footy at the European Athletics Championships. Don't forget, you can keep an eye across our social media across the weekend. Just search for Anything But Footy. We are looking ahead to LA and we are all over the French Alps.